For much more about the state of the world economy and particularly China's role in it, we are joined once again tonight by one of our favorite guests. He is Robin Farzad, a senior writer at Business Week magazine. Happy holidays. Nice to see you.
Good evening, Martin.
All right. We just had this long delivery about China buying up just about every natural resource known to man. How has China managed to get through this economic calamity that the rest of the world has suffered relatively, not just intact, but seems to be growing?
China is an exporting machine, and they are collecting, they're just hoovering in the dollars by the hundreds of billions at a time, almost more than they know what to do with. So if you're hoovering in the dollars, if you're sucking it in out into China and you're realizing that you have to redeploy them somewhere, plow it back into something else, you're going to go and buy hard assets, especially if there's the specter of inflation, a dollar debasement thing. So you travel the world, you're in Central and East Africa buying ore, mining deposits, oil, you go to Afghanistan, you have no questions asked bargaining with Iran, and that's exactly what we're seeing in real time.
So you're picking up all the big bargains that are out there in the world of natural resources.
Well, if not bargains, but actually converting, financial capital to actual underground capital, tangible assets that could hold their value or even go up in a period of inflation or scarcity.
Okay, well, something new. The United States government today imposed new duties on the import of steel pipes from China. And I'm just wondering, is this the latest sign of what appears to be a growing trade war between these two super economies?
Yeah, the Cold War has effectively morphed into this trade war, this simmering dispute between China and the U.S. And the center of that, of course, is China's fixation, this overdependency of exporting its way out of its trouble. And that's largely what it did in 2009 to come roaring out of the global economic crisis last year. China is artificially keeping its currency, the yuan, low by accumulating dollars and pegging the currency to the dollar. And when that happens, the United States is largely, aside from the persuasion of Obama and his trade cabinet, saying, please let your currency appreciate so we can export our way out of this crisis. And China doesn't want to do that. So then you're left with weak kind of alternatives such as trade tariffs and browbeating back and forth across the ocean.
Japan today introduced a new stimulus program, which got us thinking, well, a number of nations have introduced stimulus programs over the last year, including the U.S. How have they done? Did they work?
By and large, the big economies did avert catastrophe, and some, in fact, have had gangbuster years. You talk about China. You see much of Asia on the heels of China's fiscal stimulus there, coming out of the worst of this crisis in much better shape than the developed world has. Japan is a whole other issue, though. This is now a 20-year malaise. In 1989, we were talking about the Japanese ruling the world. And, they just bought Rockefeller Center, and they were at the center of the zeitgeist. And in fact, they turned out to have recession for the better part of the past 2 decades. And every time a new administration, a regime, a prime minister, they've had countless prime ministers and finance ministers, comes out with a new package, it seems to fall on deaf ears because by and large they have not undertaken the structural reforms to convert their economies from export-driven economies into more sustainable growth stories.
Okay, we're almost out of time, but I want to ask, okay, nations took on debt to have those stimulus packages. Is a day of reckoning coming? And will it be this year?
If not this year, then the year after, but certainly the bill comes due for that, and some countries are in better positions than others. The United States certainly has issued a ton of money. Let's see how that pans out in the next few years.
Robin Farzad, great to see you.
Happy New Year, Martin.
Thank you.
You.